Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Wang Time, and in this video we have Ethan and Lifu alongside Henry, our co-host. I'm Eugene, and I am pleasure to be able to join you guys in this video. And yeah, let's have a brief introduction about our guests and our co-host. So why don't we start with Ethan? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I go to the same school as these three.
Yeah.
And yeah, same year we met. When did we meet? I met you way back.
Way back, yeah.
You in middle school.
In the days, yeah.
You about the same time. So yeah, we've been friends for a decent amount of time. Yeah, that's probably the only important information you need to know about me.
Yeah, and this is Lifu.
Yeah, I'm Lifu, and I'm in the same school, same grade as these three. I've known Henry since seventh
school,
grade.
yeah.
Seventh grade, I believe. Yeah, that was a pretty fun class. Eugene, same. I was in your second language Chinese class.
Yep.
And then
We studied Chinese for
I actually knew Ethan for quite a while as well, but I got reconciled with him quite recently, actually. And yeah, it's been cool.
Alright, yeah. As always, if you guys have any suggestions for video ideas or podcast topics, please leave it down in the comments below. We'll try and answer all of your comments and questions. Let's get started. And yeah, so the topic in hand we have for today is how does fashion affect our lifestyle and what kind of behavioral differences does it make? Yeah, so that's our general broad idea we have. So why don't we start with Ethan? Because I've known you for quite a while, and I think that you were one of the first people in the grade to actually take on this fashion phase in your life during middle school when everyone's still dressing like 6-year-olds. So can you tell us a bit about how this started and what inspired you?
Well, I don't know. It's not really I don't really have a story which is linear. Oh, I discovered fashion at this age, and I was I want to become a fashion designer. It was more just I needed clothes during middle school, so I was if I'm going to be spending money on clothes, why don't I just do a bit of research into it? So I did. I found a few online guidebooks and a few YouTube channels just explaining the simple rules of fashion, nothing too complicated. So I was oh, okay, cool. So I bought my clothes, and then I think somewhere down the line I got a few compliments. I was oh, man, and I also internally I also felt better wearing clothes that I felt made me look the way I wanted to. It allowed me to present myself to people the way I wanted to be seen, right? And it wasn't a source of confidence for me, but it added to it, and I think that's important. There's an important distinction there that clothes can't be where your confidence is derived from, but it should always add to it, right? And that never hurts. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's where it started, just me wanting to be seen the way I felt most represented me. So yeah, that's where it started for me.
I think that's a really good point that you made, how clothes shouldn't just be seen as something that you wear because you have to, and should be an addition to your personality.
Yeah, because why not? If you have them, just let them be something meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Well, to add on to that about your personality, I feel sometimes the clothes you wear actually kind of reflect who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you'll see someone in the street, and what they're wearing kind of gives you a hint of what type of person they may be. And in my case, it's similar to Ethan's idea of confidence, where I was quite insecure in middle school, and I just felt I had to look good, wear nice clothes, make myself look better, just all around improve my lifestyle. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got involved in fashion.
Yeah.
So those are really interesting stories from both of you. Yeah. So let's get started with our first main concept that we should discuss in this episode, and that's the uniform policy. So what are you guys' thoughts about wearing school uniforms as opposed to being able to wear anything you want to school?
I mean, I think it depends, right? It depends on what the school stands for. Depends on the culture of the school too. Does it make sense to have a uniform? Does it make sense for the students to uphold that image of the school? And I think it varies from school to school, and I'm fine with it. Our school has uniform. To be fair, you guys know our school uniform is pretty casual.
Yeah.
You guys have seen the schools in England and stuff full tie, blazer,
right next door.
Yeah, it's even
ties and stuff.
Like they're not even considered strict. Like we show up to school in a polo shirt and like whatever shoes we want. So
So that's fine. Yeah.
honestly, don't complain about it because it's the school you go to. I mean, and I think there's more important things to look at than uniform at school. But if we're talking about uniform, like it just varies from school to school. We just do what the school says. I mean, I have no problem with it.
I agree with that. In my opinion, schools there has to be some sort of discipline.
Yeah, of
some
course.
sort
Yeah,
of orderly.
part of
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, I feel like in IB now that we're white shirts, our school actually allows us to wear like any form of black.
Yeah, we're
pants.
getting more freedom.
Yeah,
of
there's
using
more
it.
variety, right? And
That's great. Yeah.
And I think that should be in correlation with maturity and age. Like if we know the importance, if assuming that the rate of our maturity grows the same rate as like our age, then like hopefully we'll be able to understand the importance of presentation and of like upholding our own like self-image more and more as the years go by. And with that hopefully comes freedom. And I think our school has done a decent job with that while still keeping the image of the school with like a basic shirt for uniform in senior school. But we're allowed to wear whatever bottoms we want, and as long as it's appropriate, it works.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the idea of a uniform in our school is actually all right, and it not only does it promote discipline and uniformity, but it also gives us some room to actually express ourselves rather than fully like closing off all our creative outlet. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I feel like what you said only really applies to like certain schools because
yeah.
like if you look at more like Asian cultures and traditionalist views, schools in Asia back in the day they rarely allowed the students to
Oh yeah.
like get an opportunity to express themselves
that's
through
what applies to
fashion and stuff like that.
It does.
Yeah, do you think that has any detrimental effects on like a person's development if they're
I mean, it depends how much they value that, right? It depends how much they value their self-image. I think if a school emphasizes like, you should express yourself like our school does, then I think that's great. But obviously, I think so. If we look, So you said a lot of schools with like which uphold Asian culture, like very strict disciplinary culture, where uniform strict, you get punished if you don't wear this. I think the problem lies like even further beyond that. I would even say like perhaps like if we can see that their uniform policy is already so strict, then it would be pretty safe to assume that the rest of like the regulations of school would be strict too, right? So you could almost say like, is the uniform thing itself detrimental? No, but maybe that kind of environment which preaches strict disciplining, no freedom of whatever, I think that's detrimental. That's like the bigger picture that we should be looking at too, right?
What kind of effect do you think that has like on the students?
Well, of course, it has really good effects. The students are more disciplined and, in a way,
like focus on
more
schoolwork?
focused. Yeah, of course.
Important.
But like, students have to have a life as well, right?
Mhm.
Like they have to like learn stuff. Like our school, it teaches us to express ourselves. It teaches us to like delve deeper in what we learn and like just learn new stuff, right? In schools like that, they're kind of like they don't have much room, much freedom to like learn anything else
Yeah.
apart from their studies.
That's why you hear a lot of like these students who go to those strict schools, they have really bad mental health and they suffer with like depression and like stuff like that. So I think we're quite privileged in the fact that we go to a school which allows us to focus on our studies by like encouraging us and as well as giving us room to express ourselves.
Yeah, it's like self-motivation, right?
Yeah.
As like years develop, I think schools are also kind of changing their system, and they have different viewpoints on education, taking a more holistic approach rather than just academics and everything. And so that I think ties in with like loosening up certain policies they have in their school as well. And I think for future generations it will get better, and they'll have more room to express their own creativity and ideas, basically.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Yeah, and from a young age, like being able to do that perhaps encourages students to take on certain roles in the future, whether that be a job as a fashion designer or just anything that's kind of more creativity related. And yeah, that also plays a role in shaping their careers in a sense.
Because if you look at like the percentage of like students who go into certain fields, with an international school like ours compared to like a local school like the fields are very different. Like it's quite diverse. People go
It's
off
a
and
wide
do,
range
yeah,
of different
and do
stuff.
like amazing stuff. Whereas in most of them become doctors, lawyers, and there's not much like creativity among that.
So something interesting that I picked up while like growing up was that my parents both they come from Taiwan, and back in their days, like school was very strict about like discipline and everything being the same, and that students should only focus on school and nothing else. And the result of that was that they would categorize students based off their grades, and based off what grade you got, your choices of careers were only this limited. So like the top students would only go on to become doctors or engineers, stuff like that, and then they would leave the students who got maybe worse grades to do like arts and literature and stuff like that. What do you guys think that's? What are your thoughts about that
I think
approach?
that's like highly problematic, right?
Yeah.
To assume there's like a correlation between level of intellect and
The subject.
grade standards and creativity output in a certain field of like career is I personally believe, and I hope you guys too, it's just wrong, right?
Yeah.
Because there's not it's not like a you can't associate certain grades with certain jobs just because they aren't as academic. So yeah, it's highly problematic, and I think that's a part of culture that needs to change, right?
Yeah, if you look at the bigger picture though, in like past education, they think bubbling and a multiple choice question determines like your success basically, and how like what type of jobs you'll have in the future. And that's kind of like the bigger picture and something that in my opinion needs to kind of change. And that's what's happening like right now, and so I think that's like a good progress that we're making in the world currently.
Yeah, that's still sad thing is that still happens right now because like I'm sure you guys know about the SAT or ACT, like these standardized testings, where they just give a student, they grade a student based off a number, and that number is all that the student is worth. When you apply for a university, first thing they do is look at your numbers. If you're below this number, they don't consider you at all, unless you're like the lucky 1% who has something else going on in their lives, which most of us don't.
Actually, you can see universities adapting as times change.
Yeah,
some universities are actually making people do standardized tests like SAT and ACT. Like UC's, University of California's, they actually don't have any more standardized testings, and they don't have any like IB like requirements either. So they'll actually consider your application as a whole and read everything that you do. So I think that's just great.
Yeah,
But,
a progressive mindset is always beneficial to students and just people in general, because I guess it gives a more accurate assessment of a person's character and their worth rather than just looking at numbers, right? That's what we should be judged on in life, our character, not a number.
So okay, let's come back to the original question
That's what
about
we're
like
here for, right?
fashion. So it kind of shows that just something as small as allowing a student to express themselves through clothes that they wear to school can have a big impact on their future and the world as a whole. So that just shows the importance of like fashion for the development of
Like young teens.
adults. So do you guys have any like? Would you say that by looking at what clothes that someone wears, you can come to like an accurate assumption about the type of person that they are?
No.
Not necessarily. Maybe a hint, but like you can't tell exactly.
No, I think and a lot of like just because I said clothes are important in expressing the way you want to be seen by the public, right? But then obviously clothes, it's not. Fashion's not the most important thing in life. It would be stupid to assume that it was, right? Some people don't care. That's the truth. and some people don't care about what they look like, and they'd rather be judged on what's within, like their inner character. And I think that's completely fine too, because that's what our value is, right? That's the value that we bring to society. It's like what we have within. So yes, I think sometimes you might be able to pick up on certain hints, like from a way a person dress, but to come to a conclusion where you're like, oh, this person is this because they dress like this, that's ridiculous.
I agree.
Yeah, so just fashion plays like just a part. It's not something that fully defines you.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
from my experience, when I see someone, fashion like plays a role, but more of their behavior and the way they act really allows me to make a more exactly accurate decision about them.
About that, like, I totally agree. And you said when you first see someone, you judge their outer appearance first, right?
Yeah.
I think something important to note, well, yes, we shouldn't judge someone completely based off the way they look. But there's also part of that, like, us as like subconsciously judging a person.
Just human nature.
Yeah, exactly. It's human nature. So that's why it's also important to dress well, in my opinion, because first impressions matter, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have a judgment subconsciously, whether you like it or not, like within the first few seconds of meeting someone, without even them opening their mouth.
Especially if you have like a limited amount of time with that person, like an interview, you want to make a good impression.
Of course.
And so
human nature.
exactly, just by taking those extra steps and thinking about what you're gonna wear can make an impact on how that person thinks about you.
Yeah, I had an interviewer once tell me that they judge someone 100% based off the way they look until they open their mouth.
Exactly.
And that's whether it's right or not. That's just how humans are.
Yeah. Like, I could be completely qualified for a job, but if I show up like unpresentable, like, I would still be the same person inside.
Yeah.
But like I won't like I won't
It's
get
like,
it.
why not give yourself that?
That's really interesting, because I was thinking of like, this like common stigma about how people with tattoos are associated with crimes and poor education and like poor upbringing.
Yeah.
Do you think? What are your thoughts about tattoos? Does it add to fashion? Is it part of fashion?
I mean, I think it's part of image, right? And I think it's becoming more normalized nowadays. Like, I'm personally not a fan of tattoos just because of the aesthetic. I'm not a fan of how they look aesthetically, but if you have them, I think nowadays in society it's more normalized. And if it adds to your image, there's actually a model online that I follow. Completely forgot his name. I might remember it later. But he's covered in tattoos, and his body's almost like a work of art. A lot of people see their bodies like this canvas for tattoo people who are into tattoos, especially like tattoo enthusiasts. Like, they see their bodies as a canvas and they're like a human painting almost, and that's almost formed into part of their identity. So if that's them, like, whatever floats their boat, right? Like, go for it.
Exactly. Like, if you want people to like think of you this way and like that's your outer appearance, you want to be thought of as this person, just do what you want to do, you know?
It's a great way of self-expression. Tattoos,
Yeah,
earrings, and things like that. Like, it's not for me, but I wouldn't judge someone based on it.
Yeah. Do you think society would ever be able to get rid of the initial judging a person by how they look? For example, like an interviewer judging a man covered with tattoos as unqualified for an office job or as like a job that requires like trust in a sense.
I don't know. It depends on like the rate of progression society goes at, right? I mean, so obviously, certain things it's better to leave under, like the way someone's dressed. Like, as we said before, doesn't define their character. But I think certain things it's okay to like have these micro judgments about people, because if someone's taken the time to dress well, to show up to an event that you've proposed, it shows that, you know, like, they've at least taken the time to think about this occasion and dress up accordingly, right? So I think some of these things do have like some level of respect to them, right? But then on certain things, I think society will always have stigma against certain people, whether we like it or not. And hopefully it goes away, but because history exists, I don't think any form of stigma can completely go away.
Yeah.
Because there'll always be that knowledge that once existed. And there was always a reason why. Not saying that reason is correct, but because there was that reason that existed once, whether it was right or not, that stigma will always exist in the back of people's minds.
you can't like completely wipe out an
Yeah.
idea like that.
Yeah.
Like as society, we've done amazing things. Like,
Progressed.
We've progressed a bit, but like some stuff, it's just hard
I mean,
to
just
like,
look at the situation. It's like all the stuff that's happening right now in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like we'd like to say, oh, we don't think like this anymore, but unfortunately, a lot of people still do, and I don't know if that's ever going to go away. We'd all hope it does, right? But we don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah, it's hard to change some like other people's mindsets.
Yeah, of course.
Basically, you can change yours, but other people's it's not as easy.
Of
Yeah.
course, it's a big world out there.
We should always try.
Yeah.
We should always try. We should always preach a good message, but is it ever gonna come out the way we want to? I don't know. Maybe we're probably gonna end up unsatisfied.
Yeah.
As a result.
Going back to fashion, what tips do you guys have for any of the viewers that are interested?
Yeah,
in
let's change up the style.
trying to like step it up, you know?
It's not good at
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah, well, that's a shit here.
Yeah.
Ethan, let's do like a quick 30-second rundown.
Quick
of,
30 second. Oh my gosh.
30
okay.
seconds.
not 30 seconds, but like
Quick rundown.
of like 10 tips or something like that.
I don't have 10 tips, but biggest tip, if you don't consider clothes a necessity, like something important right now, maybe consider it. Just start considering. Like the simple act of considering will automatically get you researching and helping you understand your wardrobe better.
Mhm.
Second thing, understand that the small things don't matter at first. Like you don't need to know the difference between a button-up and a button-down shirt and the different cuts of like a pants or something. But start to understand color, fitting, and material for clothing pieces, and know what works for your body. Right? I say that's the biggest thing.
Mhm.
Experiment and understand what works. You can ask trusted people to give you honest feedback, and whatever makes you comfortable. Ultimately, right?
Everyone has like a different body type.
Yeah,
you
of
just
course,
gotta
yeah.
see what fits
What
you.
works
the
on you
most.
isn't going to work on everyone else.
Exactly.
So for me, I've experimented a lot with fashion, and I've looked really dumb sometimes.
Yeah,
But
same.
in my opinion, as long as you think you look good, then wear it. Like
Yeah, it's a
it's-
really
it's
good
great.
point.
Yeah,
You shouldn't
exactly.
be wearing clothes for other people. You should
Exactly.
be wearing it so
Yeah.
that you feel good
Of
about
course.
yourself.
Yeah,
Makes
it
you
ultimately
want
comes down
to.
to confidence, right?
I've showed up to countless like events and stuff, like totally
Oh,
like
yeah, me too.
looking really dumb. But like I like the way I look, so I'm gonna wear
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
some people say this looks like a burnt piece of toast on my sweater, but like I don't care. I like it.
Yeah, that's about it.
For me, I think accessorizing is a big part of fashion. Doing the small things, the details matter a lot. Whether it be wearing a watch, bracelet, necklace, whatever. Having a fragrance as well, smelling good, adds a lot to your final look. And yeah, just the small things after you've gotten your basic essentials where things fit you right or it's whatever you like. Yeah, just the small details for me is what really elevates someone.
Yeah.
That's okay.
What about you, Henry?
I think with like technology becoming so accessible nowadays, I think it's a great way to just surf the internet and find inspiration. If you don't know what looks good and how you can arrange the items in your wardrobe, just go online, find some Instagram models or whatever.
I think all of us has done that at one point.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And
Just get inspiration. Right?
exactly, because of the internet now, there's just so much to see.
That's for sure.
Yeah, you can just get new inspiration every day, and also ordering stuff online that you find will fit you better. Perhaps is easier to do nowadays with the development of technology.
I'm actually greatly inspired by things I watch, like on Netflix, like certain shows. Like I see something I like, I'm like, alright, can I replicate it? Can I make it look like me?
Yeah, because all like the movie actors, they are like dressed by professionals.
Hairstylists.
Exactly. And taking ideas off movies as well is a great idea for anyone that's just getting into it.
Yeah, and even like take inspiration from things that might be considered slightly unconventional. Like I've heard a lot of people like their style icons aren't actually people. Like they could be like from cartoons. Like you might like the aesthetic of something, and you could almost like incorporate that into your own style too. Right? It doesn't have to just be clothing.
Yeah.
As well as paintings, whatever
Yeah,
colors
paintings,
work.
You
Because
like Da Vinci, like
yeah,
like go for it.
Yeah, artists put a lot of work into their.
That's
yeah.
art too, right? Your body is a canvas. Like, do whatever you want.
Sick, yeah. I've seen someone with like a tattoo of like Mona Lisa on like their back.
That might be a bit tacky. Hey, go for it. If it floats your
Yeah,
boat,
if you think it's sick, yeah, go for it. Yeah. There's a lot of like designers who base their designs off like movies as well. Like some shirts will have like designs, like photos on it, like based off like cartoons.
Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on having shirts with like designs that are like printed designs? You know what I mean?
Or maybe like a bit controversial and like a sensitive topic on clothing. What are your thoughts on?
I mean, ultimately everything is art, right? So, of course, you can, at some point, you're going to be like, oh, this person's dressed better than this person. But at some point, once you reach a level, everything becomes subjective in art and fashion.
Yes, of course.
So, I'm okay with things being printed on shirts. Like, I think for some looks, it looks okay. For some, it might not work as well. Right? So, it just depends. I don't think there's a definitive answer I can say. I can't say yes, I like it, or no, it's horrible. But like, it depends, person to person, style to style.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong in fashion and art.
Yeah, be open to everything.
In my closet is definitely like I have a wide range of clothes. Some clothes that are less like formal, like printed clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also have clothes that I'll wear when I'm like going out to dinner or something, things like that. So I think that you should try different things out. You should always be open to try out new styles.
I agree.
So what? Okay, like guys, let's talk about hypebeast culture. Okay. I feel like in 20th century that's become a big topic in terms of fashion. Like
crazy back.
Yeah, it was.
Have you seen companies are taking it way too far? Like Supreme, the brick costing like I don't want to know how much a brick costs, and that's considered fashion.
Yeah, I mean,
it's accessories. Like
like whatever you want to do.
If you like it, go for it.
It's your money. Go for
Get
it.
$100 brick.
I can't tell people to buy it or not buy it. I can recommend, but you wouldn't because it seems a bit like a waste of money. But
Exactly. If you have the money, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
So I think just spending it wisely. Like
the question is like whether you should do it. Isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, I wouldn't encourage it, but if they want it, then yeah, we can go for it.
Hypebeast culture. It's a weird subject. I feel a lot of people get
Like
offended.
there was a time where it was like super popular. Like right now, I think
I say like around 2017, 2016.
Yeah, definitely.
That was when like Bape, Supreme.
they had a big boom. Like they came out.
I think hypebeast, like the hypebeast style in itself is fine because obviously everything is subjective at the end of the day, right? But then I think it was the attitude people had towards that was slightly unhealthy. Everyone, from what I experienced, only cared about price, and that made fashion and style and clothing just a very materialistic thing, and not what it actually is. And just what it is an extension of yourself.
Yep.
That's presented on you. But in around those times, it became how much is your outfit? If your outfit's over X dollars, you're cool. If it's not, then don't hang out with us, basically.
Oh, what brand is this shirt?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, is that fake? Is that like legit check? That was a term.
Legit.
That was very toxic and unhealthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think being judged by the price, like putting a price tag on people, just isn't right.
Yeah, exactly. We're not.
Exactly.
We're not meant to be judged by numbers.
There were like lots of news stories about kids in like public schools in America who were being bullied because they didn't have the certain
that's
items that.
Crazy.
And there was also like violence related like around this with like, because someone wanted like, oh, there's a song, what's it called, about like Jordans or something, and then a kid got murdered for that.
Wings.
Yeah,
that's true. Like there's so many sneaker related deaths each year. Like like some people get murdered like because of fashion. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that should be happening.
That's not healthy. But hypebeast culture was not a bad thing inherently, but I think it became something which
I feel like over time it became more of like a hobby, not exactly like fashion. Because a lot of collectors, like hypebeast clothing collectors, they don't actually wear the stuff that they buy.
They buy it because they like to look at it.
They buy it because they just it's like a status of
wealth.
wealth. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a museum in your house, but like.
Yeah, I'd argue it even goes beyond a hobby and more into a mindset of like, I'm cool because I have this. You know, like I think that's just the way people thought.
It's like a social culture.
Yeah, and it almost became like normal. It was normal in society
Yeah.
to be like, oh, that guy is wearing $200 sneakers. I should be his friend. You know.
I think that could have really bad influences on the younger generations.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially like if they're only caring about money and they want their parents to fund everything for them, they're gonna see like reality in the future.
Exactly.
And so might as well prepare yourself for
Exactly.
it.
They care so much about money, this thing that they don't actually understand. They don't understand where it comes from. They just think it's this like this number.
Yeah.
But money is so much more than that. Like, there's like people obtaining it that they don't understand and the value of it. And so caring about something you don't fully understand is problematic.
I'm gonna be honest. Like in middle school, I saw like Hypebeast Culture online, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So then I spent a lot of money on like Hypebeast clothes and stuff. Like it was nice. They were like good designs, but I just like it's so toxic because I thought that I had to buy them just to be a Hypebeast. You know, I thought it was cool, but then like as you grow older and mature, you realize how like childish it is.
Yeah, I'm really glad that society has left this like hypebeast phase behind,
That's for sure.
and now like it's starting to become more popular to like buy clothes that are cheap
On a
but
budget,
work well
yeah.
together and
Yeah.
look good.
Good clothing.
I love that.
I think that's the best way someone can use their money to make themselves look better and feel better.
Yeah.
Is to save money, but also in a sense like get as much value from your money as possible
Yeah.
instead of spending way too much on something that's not even worth that price tag.
Yeah. So for those watching, make sure you spend your money wisely.
Yeah. Don't.
Yeah.
Wise words of Eugene.
Yeah.
Don't impulse buy, you'll regret it.
Do you guys have any brands or places where you get your clothes that you'd like to recommend?
Oh yeah, Uniqlo is great. Like Henry said, if you want to get cheap clothes that also make you look really nice, Uniqlo is a great place to go. And if you want to get something a little more pricey but also look nice, Ralph Lauren is a great brand. You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say go brand exclusive. Like buy from anywhere. Like that, you need to experiment. Like certain brands are gonna work better because of their style on certain people. For me, there's a brand called Pause. It's really nice. I like their products. Yeah, Uniqlo is good for your basic stuff, like basic t-shirts, and I just experiment really. Like you need to go and find what works. Go to the stores, try on clothes, like keep up with the fashion shows and like keep up with the seasons. And depending on where you live, like if you're in Singapore, obviously just browse through the spring summer collections of multiple brands and see what style works best for you, right? And then I'd say do that.
You should watch Alex Costa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
Yeah, just like scroll through the Vogue website. They have
Vogue,
they have all the fashion shows online. So yeah, that's great for understanding just clothing and the industry better.
Yeah, I think experimenting will lead to success like in the end because you learn from your failures.
It's a good mindset.
Yeah, get a better understanding of what you like.
I feel like a common misconception is that you have to have the clothes to be fashionable, but I feel like it's more important to know the
Know your
fashion,
wardrobe.
know how it works, know how different colors fit and different pieces work together. So it's not really necessarily about buying as many clothes as you can. It's just taking what you have and putting it in the best way possible.
Yeah,
Exactly. Just because you own a rainbow leather jacket doesn't make you the most fashionable person.
Yeah,
It's about understanding what's in your wardrobe and understanding how to use it without causing too much stress for yourself. Because at the end of the day, fashion should not be something you stress over. It's just something, an extension of yourself.
It shouldn't be a priority
Exactly.
in your life.
Yeah,
You should prioritize many things.
Yeah, fashion is not the most,
100%.
unless you're going into the industry and designing clothes, fashion should not be this be all and end all thing.
Yeah.
it's an extension of you.
Yeah.
Like you can look good in t-shirt.
Treat it as what it is. Don't make it any more meaningful than it has to be.
Alongside fashion comes some environmental issues that I think we're kind of aware of, which is fast fashion.
Yeah.
And how clothes are made to last for a certain period of time, or they go out of trend, so you're forced to kind of throw it away.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on this, and what do you do to basically prevent this?
Yeah, I actually wrote a paper recently for an economics subject on the fashion industry in general and their like unsustainable way of producing and manufacturing. I think it's not even exclusive to fast fashion brands anymore. It's even the high level designer brands have been known to throw out millions and millions of euros worth of clothes because they would rather over manufacture and have extras rather than have a less supply.
Yep.
So obviously that's huge market failure, huge detrimental damages to the environment. And what can we do? We can advocate for the brands that are sustainable and trying their best to be like. I think Adidas released like an ocean.
It's made out of plastic.
Yeah, it's made out of like plastic from the ocean apparently. So like projects like these, I think, are the future to sustainable fashion.
That's really funny because like you're talking about how these companies are making so much more clothes than they can sell.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make Hypebeast Culture more eco-friendly in the sense that all of the
Almost,
Hypebeast products are limited in
I guess
supply?
there's an irony.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe this toxic thing is better for like the world, but then I don't know. Maybe it is.
So technically, Hypebeast Culture would be more environmentally friendly.
I guess.
If
yes,
everyone
yeah.
converted to Hypebeast Culture, then
You think about that. I mean,
we would reduce waste. I think that's how we solve.
yes,
most of the
everyone go
guys.
buy Supreme and save the environment. Go
Yeah.
save the turtles.
Yeah, we've all been looking at it in the wrong way.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not-
Go buy Supreme.
It's Supreme. It's Babe. It's
Yeah.
Oh wow! There we go.
There you go.
that should be in science textbooks. That should be
Yeah.
an entire unit.
Yeah, but like for brands that like mass produce stuff like fast fashion, like Uniqlo, for example, like you could say it's like less eco-friendly, which it is. But I read that like these brands are actually trying to like change that like system, you know.
Mhm.
So I genuinely can't wait to see what's up next, like how they're gonna solve this problem. So
I think for like what we can do individually is just buy clothing that you know you'll wear for a while.
Yeah.
Invest in quality rather than quantity, and just
You're
like
right.
you said, advocate for the brands that are more eco-friendly, that have sustainability as their like mission goal.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, obviously we can't change the world ourselves, right? So
Exactly.
we can't. It would be an unrealistic goal to say, "Oh, I want to stop all the throwing away or the excessive clothing." But yeah, so do the small things that you know you can, that you know will make a small impact. Like buy quality clothing.
Everything starts with you, like
Yeah,
in terms of
everything starts with
sustainability, like just turning off your lights.
Go out from there, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I think that brings
Yeah,
us
that
nicely to the end
that's
of
a
this
great ending.
podcast.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us
Thanks
today.
for having us.
thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Peace.
Let's get it.